Guys, we got a massive show here today. We put together the 8 elite running backs, the best of the best, the cream of the crop, the volume getters. We put it into one show. This is not your consensus running back show. We are talking the elite 8. Big show, ready to go. Let's get to it.
Been knocked down 1,000 times. I ain't going nowhere. Yeah, I'm standing right here. Demons all around, but I ain't got no.
Welcome to the show, everybody. We got a massive one here for you. We're talking about my favorite topic, fantasy football running backs, and here are the top 8 here for you. Now, again, I want to do a ranking, like a top 10 list, but this is more just talking elite running backs. We're talking about the guys I would draft in the early rounds. And Jim, of course. Now, there's a couple we disagree on, but we wanted to compile a list of the ultra elite, the guys that are the volume getters, the guys that are the cream of the crop, the real deal running backs in the early rounds. We wanted to talk about them. And again, if we just did a top 10 list, it doesn't really work, right? Because what happens is guys fall off. We saw it last year. In my top 10 list last year, Dalvin Cook wasn't there. For example, DeAndre Swift wasn't there. And they busted because we saw this. We projected this. Saquon Barkley wasn't there. Nobody had Saquon Barkley as a top 10 running back last year, right? So again, it's stuff like this. The consensus rankings, they don't help you. So we're just here to talk elite running backs. Are you ready to dive in, Jim? Are you excited to get going?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to talk about where these guys are going in the draft, when you have to select them, all that sort of stuff. So that we'll include all that when we're talking about them. But first, can we just talk about the whole running back situation right now? Because it is stressing me out. It's freaking me out. I'm not feeling great right now about what's going on in the league. You know, we've got a situation right now. Both Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley have not signed their franchise tender. They did not get a long-term deal. So we don't even know what's going to be happening with those guys. You've got basically a situation where the running back position is being devalued. I read something yesterday. It was talking about 5 years ago, the franchise tag on a running back in the NFL was $13 million a year. This year, it's only $10 million a year. Okay. So there's deflation happening here with the running back position. The only players that got a long-term deal signed this past year were David Montgomery and Miles Sanders. And both those guys signed at $6 million a year. And they got a 3-year deal on for each of them. But this is just where things are going in the NFL right now. And so what's the impact on running backs going forward? I mean, like we're going to talk about him a little bit, but Jonathan Taylor is he's in a contract year this year. His contract ends at the end of this year.
Right.
What's his motivation to go all out and just produce a fantastic year if he knows all he's going to get is the franchise tag next year? You know, I mean, it's that sort of a thing.
I disagree. I still think he has to play. He has to play to the top level. I think every team looks at it differently, although there's a lot of teams right now not paying these running backs. I was talking about, this with Gwen, in the last show or two. I really think that these rookies that come in, especially running backs, should get paid higher on their rookie deal because, again, they're coming up to when they need to be renewed. And teams just aren't doing it. I think a big reason is because they can get the same value out of rookies coming in. So, for example, this upcoming year, I feel that I feel that Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan could easily outperform a guy like Josh Jacobs, right? So why pay a mega deal to an Austin Eckler who's 28, for example? He's another guy that didn't get paid, and he's become a real big advocate. He's really speaking up on this. Why pay an Austin Eckler who's 28 years old when I can draft a Bijan Robinson? It just doesn't make any sense to me as a team, as an organization. This position is dispensable. And again, people are going to hate on it. Like, how could you say that about them? It is. Quarterbacks are such a hard thing to find. There's not even 32 good quarterbacks in the entire nation, right? So with running backs, you just need a strong guy that can run. I mean, I don't know how to say it. Quarterbacks are more sought out. That's why Jalen Hurts is getting paid big bucks. That's why running backs get hurt. They fall off, and you could always draft a rookie. That's my take on it. Just pay him more on the rookie deal, and I think everybody will be happy.
Yeah, but also these players, and the real sticking point when they talked about with Saquon and Jacobs is that the guaranteed dollars. That was like the big sticking point, and that's where they couldn't close the gap and seal the deal. And essentially, from what I understand, they can't get a long-term deal now until next season. That's wow. The window is closed. It's done for this year. They can play on the franchise tender. And I mean, it's not like it's chump change. It's $10 million. I mean,
That's the thing.
I'm guessing both these guys are going to play, right? I'm guessing both Jacobs and Barkley are going to play. But what's what's the motivation? Where's the job security? Where's the loyalty from the program for all the hard work they put in over the past, few years? And I mean, I don't know. It's just it's a sucky situation for running backs. I feel bad for them. But I think they need to, band together and
Yeah.
say, hey, you know what? We're not going to put up with this. But in the meantime, in the app, I've kind of downgraded the guys that are on these contract years this year, because I'm like, really, what's the motivation from somebody like Jonathan Taylor? What's the motivation for Derrick Henry, who's also on the last year of his deal and he's 29? How is he ever going to get an extension?
No, I don't think that'll affect it. I don't think that'll affect it. But I think honestly that a big motivation is I think they get penalized if you don't show up after certain games. You start getting docked off the pay off your franchise tag. I think certain days that you miss. So they have to show up. And $10 million is life-changing money. I never heard anyone complain about getting $10 million. And that's what bothers me. These guys should be smart with their money. $10 million. I mean, you're set for life. I don't care. If you invest that properly, you are good to go for generations to come. Just invest it properly. You'll be good to go. And you can make more money, and then you got sponsors. Not just $10 million, you get other deals. I think they should stop whining, get on the field. Guys like Eckler have no reason to whine. 28 years old. You were a backup for years. You had a couple good years. You're a product of the offense. You're not going to get a big mega contract, okay? You're not Derrick Henry. That's just the bottom line. And you're not Jalen Hurts either. So that's my take on it. Pay him more up front. And again, maybe just give him a little bit more than the 10 million franchise tag as well. All right, so let's dive into this, Jim. Before we do, make sure you guys grab the 16-round draft solution. Secure the solution, secure the championship. Sleepers, breakouts, optimal players drafted each round. This will help you guys crush your leagues. Jim, this is the game changer, the 16-round draft solution and the 16-round plus tool. Go to thefantasyfootballcouncil.com under programs and use code SMASH to save for the 16-round draft solution. Everything on a silver platter. You'll be light years ahead of the competition. Secure the solution, secure the championship. I've linked it below. All right, so let's talk about the first running back we love, like absolutely love, the guy that'll go to the moon. I think we both agree. This is a list we pretty much both agree on. A couple guys we disagree on here. The first guy here is Bijan Robinson. Now, he's my 1.01. Love the talent, love the upside. He's exciting. He was drafted, in the first round. The Falcons run the ball a lot. He's going to get the volume. He's going to get the opportunity. I got to take a look here quickly at Atlanta here, and I'm going to take a look at the rushing attempts here. Algier.
Oh, I can tell you right now, it's 559 rushing attempts, most in the NFL last season.
Algier, 210. Patterson, 144. Caleb Huntley, 76. And then a bunch of bottom feeders got attempts. There's a lot of attempts to be had. And, he's going to eat. And that's just the bottom line. I love him. What do you think of Bijan?
Yeah, I mean, the instant he was drafted, and he wasn't just drafted in the first round, he was drafted in the top 10. Right. I mean, when you have someone with that much draft capital invested with them, and people are talking like, oh, well, Tyler Algier is going to be the starter. No, Tyler Algier is not going to be the starter. I can guarantee that he will not be the starter.
You're hearing that? You're actually hearing people
yeah. People are talking about like how Algier is actually going to be the starter on this team.
Come on.
He will absolutely not be. Bijan is a day one RB1 on this team, on the highest volume rushing team in the NFL. Just an outstanding talent. His upside is tremendous with all those rush attempts. I mean, people are talking, oh, maybe he'll get 200, maybe he'll get 250. Shoot, I think he could get 300 plus with as many rush attempts as this team does. And plus the passing down work. He's a good pass catcher. So, I like to say that he's like a young Derrick Henry who catches passes. So, he is my overall number one, highest scoring Cuddy player in the first round. Absolutely a guy you want to take if he's on the board when it gets to your pick.
Yeah, and I want to do a disclaimer, too, for this show. I hear so many people talking about guys like, this kills me. I'm seeing so many people in the fantasy industry, like, people coming up, like these young dudes with these, like, clickbaity photos saying, you got to draft this running back. He was amazing. He was elite. He had 6.1 yards per carry through weeks, blah, 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 before he got hurt. The guy you want to draft is, and they say, like, Rashad Penny, right? There's so many people that are just passing bad information when it comes to running backs. That's why you got to subscribe here, thumbs up, and grab the solution. Grab the 16-round plus draft tool, because we really vetted this stuff out for you guys so you guys can crush your leagues, okay? This is not cookie cutter stuff. I'm hearing J.K. Dobbins. Everyone's praising him for a potential breakout. This is the year J.K. Dobbins breaks out. Maybe, but she's just not going to get the volume with Lamar Jackson. We can go into every player and break it down. Some people even saying grab DeAndre Swift. This is his year as well. Again, everybody just kind of reaching on these mid-round running backs, hoping for a breakout when you should be grabbing the cream of the crop guys, a couple of these guys early on. Just wanted to make that disclaimer here as we continue. All
yeah,
right,
and also it's easier this year to grab all these elite running backs because there's more wide receivers being selected early.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these guys that last year would have been a first round pick, you can get in the second round. Last year, a guy you could get in the second round, well, you can get him in the third or maybe even the early fourth round. So that's what's happening on the draft boards right now. And so take advantage of it. You're going to get yourself a better crew of running backs this year than you could in previous years.
well said. Well
By
said.
going early.
Second guy I love, and we talked before the show, you're not loving him as much. I'm actually giddy about him. I just saw his Madden rating. Him and his, I think it was like a 90-something, 94 on speed or something crazy like that. Jonathan Taylor, explosive, young, dynamic contract year. And again, I still believe that these guys still have to prove themselves. I don't think that he's going to be discouraged. The other running backs are not getting paid. The only hindrance, which I don't think is a huge hindrance, is Anthony Richardson, who, again, he might not even be the starter day one, right? Minshew's there, I believe. So I just don't know if Taylor is going to have the same year he had a couple years ago, but I still think the volume is going to be there. There's nobody else in that committee. We're looking at 250 attempts as a floor. We're looking at 12 touchdowns as a floor. I would say 40 receptions as a floor. I mean, we are talking top 5 numbers with ease if given the volume and he stays healthy. I love Jonathan Taylor. I think he's great. He's due for a bounce back. You got to know when to hold him, know when to fold him. And last year was the year I folded him. I said, listen, pinnacle year, decline happening, quarterback change. Now he's like, we've had a quarterback change. I'm healthy now. I'm ready to go. Taylor's an ultra elite running back who has just been kind of forgotten, and he's coming off mid-first round-ish, right? He's still a top guy, but the consensus, the Consheeps is Connor. You guys all know Connor. Jim knows Connor. You met him the other day. The Consheeps are not, and we're not bringing him back today because this is a serious episode, Jim. I know you're excited he's not going to be here today. When we're talking elite running backs, he runs the other direction. But I love Taylor. Bottom line is I love Taylor. What do you think of him, and why are you feeling kind of down on him? I know Gwen was not excited about him as well.
Yeah, I was, very excited about him early on, but then with all this drama with what's going on with contracts, especially for these elite running backs, and when you talk about who's been making a lot of noise, obviously Barkley and Jacobs have been making a lot of noise about their situation. Derrick Henry's chimed in, but so has, Jonathan Taylor. And it's easy to understand why. He is on the last year of his contract, right? And he's playing for a long-term deal. That's usually been what the case is when they're on a contract year like this. But what is his motivation going to be to really go out there and just crush it if he knows the best he's going to do is a franchise tag? And that's my big issue right now with Jonathan Taylor, is the fact that, I just don't think the motivation is going to be there for him to really go and do. I mean, when Jacobs and Barkley were playing like they were playing last year, it's because they were playing for an extension. They were playing for a long-term extension. And that is off the table for both of them for right now anyway. And Jonathan Taylor can see that. And he can see like, well, man, what do I have to do to get this organization to pony up and pay me what I'm worth? And, so he's a recommendation. I've downgraded him in the app, but he's still a soft recommend. A 3-star upside. He scores over 40 cutty points, so he's a green circle. He's a recommend, but frankly, there's other running backs I'm going to be looking at above him in the app just because of these issues, essentially.
That is a lion's roar. He is a lion, and I love him. And I'm not sold on your whole theory about he might not perform because he's not incentivized. I think he's going to perform. These guys have to perform. They're on the biggest stage in North America when it comes to sports. They got to perform. I understand they're a little discouraged, but I don't think it'll affect them. Speaking of contract years, this guy might be due for one, not this year, but maybe the year after. He's got something to prove. He is the workhorse. Najee Harris, improved O-line. They've got, like I said, I keep saying this, I sound like a broken record, improved O-line. They drafted the top O-line guy, I think it was the first round. They've got Kenny Pickett, who's now integrated, settled in. We got Najee Harris, who's settled in. He was dealing with that foot injury, he had that plate in his foot or whatever he had last year. So that was hindering him a little bit. It was just all these changes at quarterback last year. There was a lot of things moving and shaking. Now he's settled in. The offense is kind of like settled now. It's in the groove now. He's going to be fine. The volume's going to be there. They got, who's that Warren guy, the backup, who looked good on a couple runs he had, but not really concerned about Najee not doing well. Again, his 3.8, 3.9 yards per carry is a little concerning, but again, it could be due to that foot thing that he had. Remember his rookie year, he had 1,200 yards, man. 1,200 yards on the ground. Let me take a look at his numbers exactly here. He had 1,200 yards, 307 attempts, 7 touchdowns. But again, that 3.9 yards per carry, it almost seems like he looks a little lackluster, is like very sluggish on the field, lacks that explosiveness. That's one thing that I've kind of seen with him. Maybe he turns around this year, but in regards to volume, opportunity, and second round draft value, I'm in. How do you feel about Najee? I know you like him.
Yeah, I love Najee, and I've been picking him up in nearly every draft I've been doing, just because I'm a believer. I'm a believer in the talent. I'm a believer in the scheme. I don't think Jaylen Warren is in anything except a backup. He has been one of the most reliable and durable backs over his first 2 years in the NFL. He first of all, has an improved O-line this year. He's got a second-year quarterback now, not playing with a rookie. That helps him. It's just a great situation. It's a great bounce-back situation. I think Najee's going to be just fine. He's coming off right at the end of the second round, pick number 23. If you can get him in the third round, that's golden, man. I would love to be able to get Najee in the third round. But I have no doubts on that guy. He's going to be fantastic this year.
Yeah, no doubt about him. Solid, safe. But again, I think a lot of people are hindered, even myself, when I'm looking at him on that, second round, third round turn, is that 3.8 yards per carry, the lackluster performance. But again, we've kind of built a case here saying that he was a little banged up last year. Offense wasn't there, improved O-line. So everything is working for Najee Harris having a successful year. So again, good value as your second running back as part of a bit of a robust RB strategy. Love him. Next guy here, I've got mixed feelings about him, but I feel pretty good. Nick Chubb is the guy. Had himself a fantastic year last year. 302 attempts, guys. 1,525 yards, 12 touchdowns on the ground. There was a video of him, and he was squatting, like he had this bar. I don't know if you saw it. I posted it on my Instagram.
I did see that video this morning. That's crazy, man. He had, 14 45-pound plates on there. I don't even, let me see. Let me run a quick calculation here.
I'm putting it on the screen here if you guys are watching.
14 times 45 plus 50 pounds for the bar. That's about a 680-pound squat, I estimate.
It almost feels like it's not real. Like, look at this. Like, I got it up here on the screen.
Yeah.
Watch again here. Like if you look at this, I mean, that bar is bending. Like it's.
Oh my God, man, that's crazy. But I love Nick Chubb. Of all the running backs from last year to this year, the one with the most improved situation has got to be Nick Chubb. He is playing with the best quarterback he's ever played with his entire career. Kareem Hunt is gone. That was always the big knock against Chubb. Kareem Hunt was there. Kareem Hunt was going to steal work. Well, guess what? He's not there anymore. Chubb saw an increase in usage in the passing game this past year. It's going to be it's going to be a much improved offense over last year. And last year actually was pretty good offense. So I love Nick Chubb. Right now he's going off at the end of the first round. So I if you're picking late, I love taking him as my first RB. If Bijan's already gone. But yeah, he's fantastic. So,
but just note that he was on a pinnacle year last year. It was like his best year ever for fantasy. So again, my big knock to him was Kareem Hunt being there, and Kareem Hunt's gone. Great value. Again, if you look at a safe running back, he's as safe as he comes. Now, Watson could steal some volume for rushing. Are you concerned about that a little bit?
Not anymore that I'm concerned about Trevor Lawrence stealing volume from someone like Travis Etienne. It's not going to
Yeah.
matter that much. He's,
Right.
he does break off and run occasionally, maybe gets about 4 or 5 touchdowns a season. But Deshaun Watson is not a run first player. He's not like a Lamar Jackson. He's not like a Justin Fields. He's more like a Patrick Mahomes. He's more like, in that style, more of a pocket passer. So I'm not super concerned at all about any sort of rush volume, or stealing or
Yeah.
the stealing of touchdowns around the goal line. So yeah, not an issue for me.
That's the Watson massage voice. He's gonna. There's a concern that he might steal. Gwen and I got this voice here every time we say Watson. We play Watson massage voice there. You like that, eh, Jim? We had to find the perfect thing when we say his name. So, yeah, maybe Watson may not be a factor there. I think Nick Chubb's going to get the volume, and there's no question here. Barring any type of injury, he's good going into his 6th season. Next guy I love, I've got some question marks obviously around him, is Jahmyr Gibbs. Love him. They moved up to get him. I think they got him in the first round. It was crazy.
They took him 12th overall. So
insane.
that was a real surprise because people were saying that Detroit had 2 picks in the first round. They were going to take him with the second pick, like around pick 20, and they didn't. They actually moved up and grabbed him first overall. So yeah.
I'm not part of the Lions organization, but I would assume that they really, really wanted what's his name, DeAndre Swift to really shine, and he never did. He was just kind of like this Wish Walmart version of what Jahmyr Gibbs is, and they finally said that's the guy. They watched the tape, and I keep talking about watch the tape on Jahmyr Gibbs, put it on, watch it. Ultra explosive, great playmaker. He could catch the ball, he could run the ball. He's amazing. Again, I keep saying this. I sound like a broken record. I absolutely love him. Go watch the tape. The only hindrance is I do think Montgomery will be a goal line work. Now, I think where people are going to be wrong is they're really comparing Williams to Montgomery. Williams had a great year around the goal line. What do you have, like 18 touchdowns or something stupid like that? It was crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me pull that up here. Actually, I'm actually curious exactly how much volume he got. Now, in regards to rushing yards, I don't think it was much. So Jamal Williams, 1,066 yards on the ground, 262 attempts, 17 touchdowns. The guy behind him was Swift. Now, Swift was banged up, played 14 games. Jamal played 17. Now, people are comparing Jamal Williams to Montgomery. They're saying Montgomery's going to be the Williams and Gibbs is going to be the Swift. I think it's on the contrary. You invested a first-round pick on this guy. You're going to have an explosive. I mean, if Jamal Williams has 262 attempts, you draft a guy in the first round, he's getting 266 attempps, right? And I think the 100 attempts that Swift had go to Montgomery and some goal line work, right? There's tons of attempts to be had here as well, similarly to the situation with Atlanta. This is an interesting situation, but everybody, again, just keeps saying Montgomery, goal line guy. Like I said, I think my greatest analogy here is Jamal Williams, okay? He's not as good as Gibbs. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near as close. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get fed, 250 attempts floor. This guy's going to be dynamic. I'm excited about him, man. I'm excited to see what he does on the field based on what the tape I've watched. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I've really started to come around on Gibbs. I'm liking him more and more, and I like what I'm hearing in the comparables is that Detroit sees him as a young CMC, and that's a very exciting prospect.
Hey, now, there's no modeling here. I hope not as much,
but yeah, maybe not as much modeling, but the same kind of player that can do what CMC does, and I love that as a prospect. Certainly this team has invested the draft capital. They're going to be utilizing him often. And yes, Montgomery's going to be there. I think actually both these players can be fantasy relevant this year. But Gibbs is going to be the primary guy. The one issue is that I don't know if Jahmyr Gibbs is big enough to be the goal line guy. That's my big thing is he's only like 209. And I know that Montgomery's a bigger guy, so they might be utilizing Montgomery more on the goal line than you think he is. But I still think it's a fantastic situation. It's great offense. There's not a lot of passing options in this offense outside of Amon-Ra. So, that means a lot of volume is probably going to go Gibbs' way as well. So I love it. I love him right now going at pick number 30.
Yeah,
So midway through the third round. God, that's fantastic. Fantastic as your third running back.
yeah,
I'm all over it. I'll take him every
absolutely.
time.
I've
So
got him in all my leagues. I want to be on paper saying I got him. And again, one analogy I like to use is this: everybody and their mother, every magazine, every website, every fantasy football analyst had DeAndre Swift in the top 10. I did not. But you had to spend a first round pick on a guy that was not good. I said years to wow, do not draft Swift. Now you're telling me I get the better version of Swift, the improved version, the better, the superior version, the more explosive player who they invested in early draft capital. I get that player now, the improved version, what they wanted Swift to be, and I get him in the third round. No brainer. I'm all over that pick. Love him. Gotta have him. He's a gem to me, and I don't think he's gonna butt. I think he's gonna be great. Knock on wood. I'm knocking on wood, Jim. He's gonna be amazing. All right, let's keep going.
yeah, I'm looking forward to see what he does this year.
Cream of the crop. All right, let's go here. Now, one thing that turns people off a lot is ADP. When you look at a person based on ADP, like that guy's not a good player because they're looking at ADP, right? This is every time I go to the fourth, fifth round, sometimes even sixth. I got him in the sixth round, a $2,000 buy-in league, which is crazy. I see Dameon Pierce there. Now, just from a cosmetic point of view, Jim, if Dameon Pierce was a top 10, according to the Kinsheep says, if he was coming off round one, would he not, yes or no? And just a simple answer. Would he not look sexier? Everyone would be like, oh, Dameon Pierce, right? If he was a higher guy.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get the reasoning why he's not going as high as many people think he should. We've got a bad offense. We've got a rookie quarterback. There's a lot of negatives on this team. We've got no receivers of note on this team at all. So
You're killing my buzz here, Jim. I'll ask you a question. You're killing my buzz. If he was a top five, he's coming off in the first round, would he be more attractive, like cosmetically? If everybody said Dameon Pierce round one, though. You're making good points.
I'm not sure I would be able to pull the trigger on someone like Dameon Pierce in the first round. But
okay, fair enough.
I think he's a great player. He rates outstanding in the 16 rounds plus app. He is coming off right now at pick 40, which is early fourth round. What a great value. I mean, really just fantastic value at that point.
Yeah.
What's that?
I'm looking at value, and he's a workhorse guy. He ran hard last year, and the team that was only gotten better from last year. I mean, Davis Mills, he could only go up from there. They've got some receivers now. Mechie's back. They drafted Tank Dell. I mean, they've got some receivers to kind of spread the defense back, open things up. This guy was running. They had no wide receivers. Like it was just like run. He was running through everybody, stack boxes, everything. This guy was just trampling everybody, like just running them over.
Right.
Tons of heart. Right. Tons of upside. They're going to work him. They're going to run him. They got Devin Singletary, who can't run between the tackles. He's just a scat back. Singletary sucks. I don't know what else to tell you this. Dameon Pierce, love the upside. And the fourth round, he is a true workhorse running back. I'm all over this. And I think people are sleeping on the Texans. I think they do better than people expect. Sometimes these rookie quarterbacks can surprise, have pretty good campaigns. You never know, man. I think this is the entire team's a sleeper team. I mean, you're getting Tank Dell with the last pick. He's going undrafted, who could be the wide receiver one because they're looking good in camp. This entire team is slept on. It's insane. There's some value here.
Yeah, like I said, I love the value of Dameon Pierce, and basically, if he was going in the second round, he'd still be like a fair value play. So, the fact you're getting all that extra value, basically 2 full rounds of value by taking him in the fourth round is just a fantastic. Yeah. It's a steal, totally worth it, and so yeah, I mean, I think he's a great option right now where he's going. So, by all means, take Dameon Pierce.
Lion mentality. All right, let's do that. There you go. It's a lion pick. All right, next one here. This guy here, I don't know, man. That's a question mark. You put him on the list here. I'm removing him off 60 rounds very shortly. Ramondre Stevenson. Man, I don't know. Bill Belichick's a bully. He doesn't like your fantasy football teams. At the time of this recording, it was just yesterday. They had a day or two ago. At the time of this recording, Leonard Fournette is not there, but he was visiting with the team. Maybe at the time of this recording, by the time we watch it, maybe because we released this maybe the day before. Maybe he ends up there. Leonard Fournette. Listen, Belichick's out to make this a committee. The way Stevenson sits now, it's attractive. I mean, he had a good year last year. I don't know what to tell you. He is a stud running back. If given the opportunity and the workhorse volume, he can crush it. 210 attempts, 1,040 yards, 5 touchdowns. if given the volume, give this guy 260 attempts. So you've got a top 5 running back. If, which again is not going to happen. Harris is gone now. And it's just the Stevenson show for now. But again, they're already interviewing Leonard Fournette. Why do you need a washed up Leonard Fournette? And Patriots fans will say, oh, for reality, it's good, blah, blah, blah. No, it sucks. You have the better running back. Why waste precious rushing attempts on guys that aren't going to get as many yards per carry or do it properly? If I'm a coach, I want the best running back running, even though I work them good. And I'm so sick of the committee approach. That's what's going to happen here. What do you think?
Yeah, unfortunately, the committee approach is here to stay, man. It's just going to become more and more common as like we've been talking about, the running back position is being devalued. I obviously Fournette was there yesterday. Dalvin Cook's been there. So any one of these guys comes in and it just really ruins Ramadre's situation. But his situation is so primo right now. I mean, who else is in this backfield? Pierre Strong and Ty Johnson. That's it. That's the only other running backs on this team. That's why I think they're going to bring in another guy. But for right now, man, he is the only guy in that backfield. It's a contract year for the player, and I think the offense is going to be significantly better this year now that they actually have an offensive coordinator running the offense instead of last year when they had a defensive coordinator running the offense. Right now, I like him. He scores very well in the app, and he's going off middle of the second round. So as your RB2. So I'm okay with that. Obviously I'd rather have someone like Nick Chubb in the second round. I'd rather have Najee Harris in the second round. But there are situations where I can see myself taking Ramondre. Just be ready for another running back to be brought in because it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Well, just for the fact that I know it's gonna happen, I'm gonna fade him. So I'm gonna make a note here in 60 rounds today that there's I don't trust him. I can't do it. All right, let's go. Last guy here, and last but definitely not least is Derrick Henry. Definitely a workhorse. Again, my question mark with him is like, okay, is this his last year? Does he have one last hurrah? Or is this the year he busts? How many more years does he have left in him? I was listening to some listeners after I've been talking about this. They're saying, oh, no, he's good. Another 2 years left. I don't know, man. I think he seems a little disgruntled and upset about the running back situation. Obviously, he's been incentivized pretty well. When does he lose his edge? I mean, how old is he? Is he like 29 now, Jim, or 30?
He's 29. Yeah, he's 29.
I mean, 29 years old. You've run over 300 attempts in 2022. 2020 had 370 attempts. 2019, 303 attempts. I mean, 3 seasons with over 300 plus rushing attempts. That's insane. He was a little banged up in 2021. He had the injury, played 8 games. I have my question marks. I mean, last year I felt really good about him and I was all over him and I loved him. He did well. This year, again, and then you got the lack of the PPR upside, and then they drafted Tajay Spears, who is a workhorse. Go look at Tajay Spears' college numbers. That's all I got to say. Are they going to start working him because he's the future, because they want that workhorse running back? I don't know, Jim. I'm just not feeling as warm and fuzzy about Derrick Henry. I don't know, man. I've got question marks. What do you think? Either way, elite. The way it sits right now, if no injury happens and they feed him and my speculation and my questions don't arise, perfect running back. Love him, second round. But again, I have these question marks. Either way, he's still an elite running back. You can't deny it. That's why he's on the list.
Yeah, Derrick Henry is in the final year of his contract with the Titans, and this is his second contract. So he was incentivized. He got the contract extension. He got the big payday. But now, part of the reason why he's been so vocal is because he also sees, hey, what am I going to do? Because I'm done after this year. And, there's a general rule in the NFL that once a running back reaches 2,000 carries, that's when the breakdown happens. That's usually when the breakdown happens. Wow. And Derrick Henry is at 1,800 plus carries over his career. So
right at that point, that's what I'm feeling. He's right.
The clock is ticking. Has he already passed? It was last year, the last good year he's going to have. We don't know. And so because of that, for me, he's a risky player. He's a recommend, but a soft recommend, just like Jonathan Taylor for me, where he's going, there's other players around him, other running backs around him that I would much rather have because of that. So I can't really see myself taking a whole lot of shares of Derrick Henry. with these risks inherent, the age risk primarily. But the guy is fantastic. I mean, I project this guy's going to be like Frank Gore. He's just going to play in the league for another 7 or 8 years, but it's just, he's going to become less and less fantasy relevant as time goes on, just as he gets older. But the guy's the king. He's the king. And he's been fantastic. I hope he gets to do it again one more year. I hope he has one more year in him here that he can do it again.
Yeah, I don't like how you compared him to Jonathan Taylor. If this was a chart, I see Taylor going up. Like I see him going on upwards trend like this if I'm just visualizing. Because last year, again, Henry was down. I pictured this. Now with Henry, I picture either like a sideways move or a downwards move. I just don't see more of a spike, right? With Taylor, I still think there's a lot of juice is going to make a hard push and move on upwards trajectory. Again, that's what I'm feeling with these guys. Dameon Pierce upwards. Jahmyr Gibbs, rocket ship. Chubb, same, slightly up. Najee up, and Byjan to the moon. Everybody feels here on upwards trend. Stevenson and Chubb feel like a safe. I feel safe with those guys. I don't feel like I'm going to, wow, this guy's going to be a league winner for me, anything like that. So that's kind of my thoughts on those guys, on everybody.
Yeah, and what I mean by comparing to Jonathan Taylor is both these guys are on the last year of their contract. They're both, 2023 is the last year of their contract. And so they're heading into a situation where they're probably just going to be franchise tagged, next year if they're retained at all. And that's just the NFL landscape right now. Like I said, we'll see if these running backs decide like, hey, how good are these football teams going to be without me? And to really demonstrate how good a player they are. But we'll have to see what happens. It is disappointing how the NFL is treating these players because they give so much and they take so many hits. They take more hits than any other player on the team. I mean, and it's. I don't know if you're watching that quarterback show on
no, I'm only like
Netflix.
So then everyone keeps telling me to watch.
Oh, okay. It's pretty good, but there's one point where I think it was Mahomes says it's like being in a car accident every week. That's exactly what it is on your body. And these guys take a punishing workload, and they need to be properly compensated for that. And the fact that the NFL is not doing that is very upsetting.
I think $10 million is pretty damn good if you ask me, but
yeah, but no guarantees, no long-term contract.
Yeah.
It's just
I guarantee
it's not what they're looking for. They're looking for security.
I'm guaranteed $10 million. I'm guaranteed. That's pretty damn good for a year. I mean, I don't know. I mean, how many?
It is good. But let's compare that to CeeDee Lamb right now, who's also on a contract year. He's looking at potentially getting $25 to $30 million a year on his contract extension. Someone like Daniel Jones got $40 million a year on his contract extension. Okay. And they got long-term extensions. They got guaranteed money. That's what the running backs want.
The top neurosurgeon, plastic surgeon, the top neurosurgeon in the U.S. makes $788,000 a year. A neurosurgeon. These are people that take care of your brain and people that take care of your heart, like heart surgeons, like people that hold lives in their hands. Don't even make these guys are getting $10 million a year. Like, get over it. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. But a top
it's not chump change. It's not chump change. But also, here's the thing: neurosurgeons can do their work into their 60s and even 70s. These guys have a very small window. They have a very small window to earn this kind of money. So it's all compressed. Their whole career is done by 30. So it's like you won't see any running backs out there at age 65 on the NFL field. So,
all right, go take your picket sign and go stand outside Canton, Ohio there. Protest running.
Pay them, NFL. Pay these men. They deserve it. They've earned it.
All right, guys. Those are your elite top 8 running backs here. Again, Stevenson should not be on the list, but Jim kind of forces my hand. Before the show, he grabs my arm and he twists it. I have to say uncle to him before every show, and I got to include Robert Stevenson. Oh, man. And he's happy Connor didn't make the show, too, today. So it was a good day all in all. Good running backs.
It was a good day. Very good day. Yeah.
Connor will have to come back and seek revenge later. All right, guys, we appreciate it. Make sure you guys subscribe. We're talking running back rankings here for you. It was a good one. We'll talk soon, guys. We're out.